Happy Easter, everyone, and welcome back for another chapter review for Strike It Rich, chapter 49. So, even though this is our catch-up month of April and we've been prioritizing catching up on stuff, we cannot neglect or get too far behind on the series that we, did not get behind on. So Star is one of them. This chapter is, I think, like 5-6 days old or whatever, but I'm pretty sure the release schedule is still bi-weekly, so we had plenty of time to review chapter 49. Now, I can understand this is very tropey. This is a very tropey chapter, in my opinion. Once again, taking very much the vibes from the Bloody Monday series. I'm constantly going to keep making those comparisons until you all read it. But yeah, it definitely it's definitely got some tropey vibes. It definitely have the off-screen stuff did end up occurring. I knew we weren't going to see the full fight, or we were going to just see the results of the fight. Here, we're off-screen told the results of the fight between the second star and the fifth star. So, is what it is. And by the way, I hope you guys do have a great Easter, however you chose to celebrate this nice long weekend. But yeah, so pretty much there's a prison. And there's a woman's prison that nobody knows, is off the books, is not public knowledge, and nobody knows it exists, you know? Classic, right? That's what I mean by a trope. And these are for heightened, dangerous individuals. However, even though this is a trope, what I do like is that, always forget how to say her name, Ichirika, the cop, right? The shark-toothed cop, member of our main character cast. She has already been in discussion, and it's brought up here. This is the prison that's hosting the crazy female fighters, people that can kill a bear with their bare hands, sort of idea. That idea. This is the special list that she was in cahoots with the Yakuza to try to get access to for Valkyria, whatever. But for the underground fighting. So I'm like, I like how that ties in. We're not just bringing up this black upside that'll never be brought up again, sort of classic tropey. It's like, we've already established that they were going to prisons to find these really, tenacious A-list, the outlier type of fighters for their arena. It makes sense to bring this up, and that one of, obviously, I would argue is there willingly by the looks of it. One of the other stars is, of course, here. And we get some more information on the stars. So even though it feels like a trope, History's Strongest Disciple did it, Kengan does it, Baki does it, Bloody Monday does it. A lot of these series do the site that no one knows about, but it's got all the important characters, all the dangerous criminals. This one actually has it tied and foreshadowed in its own series. So I definitely enjoyed that aspect of it. Now, we meet... At first, I was thinking this has to be the first star. This has to be the first star. And if we're going on power scaling, which was brought up, Hina's the one to denounce the power scaling, but the fifth star and Ri herself also brought up and said, no, we believe in these rankings. These rankings are there for a reason. And Hina's sort of like, well, yeah, but it's been a while, so those rankings might not matter anymore, sort of deal. Anyway, we meet this one. She's the 8 star, and I would argue she's got full control of the facility, pretty much. That she's there voluntarily, just to be able to do the puppet master, do the chess master, collect as much information as she can from her home base. There's nothing better than being in the prison for this sort of idea, right? So she is established to be there. She's not locked up because she was caught. She was probably... it was a Goldie Roger thing, all right, here I am, so because the director of the woman's prison is giving her a report in the cell, talking once again, we knew that battle would be off-screen. We don't like off-screen battles in any of our series, really, do we? But in this case, we sort of figured there was very little. I don't know anybody who had an expectation to see that battle in its entirety, so it was expected. Might not be great, but it was expected. So, not so bad for this chapter. They say that the fifth star and the second star did conclude their battle, and she asks for the results and says that the fifth star, Tsukumu, accompanied by the members of this one terrorist organization, went up against the other one with the, the believers and the priests and the God organization of terrorist organization. And, but they met their attack with a counterattack and forced her to retreat. So, they fought lives were lost, but the 5th and 2nd star ended up parting ways. Her assault failed. She was countermeasured by the 2nd star, but neither one of them apparently died. So, and this is where we don't know how injured either one were in the ensuing battle, but we can assume, if anybody, the 5th star likely has a couple of bruises at the very least. Maybe she'll come back with an eye patch or something. Who knows? But yeah, and the 8th star goes on to say, it's like, well, yeah, you know, terrorists versus a cult. It's like, basically, this is a Far Cry game, pretty much, right? It's like every other Far Cry game. It's like, okay, we have an indigenous tribe who are nuts. We have a cult who are nuts. We have a terrorist organization who are nuts, right? It's like we just keep doing that endless circle. And then we brought up Far Cry Primal. Great game, but then there was no crazy people. It was actually kind of a nice change of pace. But anyways, yeah, so it's always a crazy organization. And she's just like, wow, so it's Far Cry 4 versus Far Cry 5 right now. Okay, all right, let's see what happened, right? And said, okay, she immediately seems to be more of the strategist, because she immediately says that the 5th star, Tsukumo Summary, yep. She is really hot-headed, and we sort of got that from her look, from her style, from her personality, from what little we've already seen of her, and marched right into the home turf and thought she could easily take that. Like, the 2nd star wouldn't have had countermeasures in place, would have been vulnerable in their own home base and stuff like that. And it's like, yeah, she's kind of stupid for doing that and stuff. They said that they haven't been able to locate her, they don't know where she went, but she's apparently alive. And she concludes, like, yeah, we still want to know where all the stars are, right? But don't try to track her based on the organization that she was affiliated with, because now that she was affiliated with this terrorist organization, now that they failed against this cult, she's just going to drop them, like, okay, you guys are failures, you know, and I'm going to find the next big thing. I'm going to find the next organization that maybe their members will be more skilled, or quantity over quality, or whatever her game plan is. But that is exactly what the 8th star here is saying. He's like, she might be dumb, but she's clever. You know, she's not going to... Failure in her eyes is like, nope, you're yesterday's trash. One failure, you're out. You don't get a second chance. I'm going to find the bigger, badder beast next time, right? So, she continues to do this. Now, her epithet is the 8th star, the Overseer star. And I was like, okay, the Overseer. So the one, once again, puppet master, manipulator, the one who wants to view everything. You know, she's almost like an L from Death Note. She's like, but she's doing it from a prison, but she's sitting there in, you know, if she just had the computer screens, and she's just sitting there in a dark room, like, I see everything that's going on. You know what I mean? So she's also very interested in not only where are all the star children, what are they doing, and she's monitoring all of them. Obviously that she's still a part of this game. Her name is Sasaki Chiruru. Man, I'm terrible at pronunciation of. When it comes to other languages and stuff, my pronunciation is always shit. I'm better at Spanish than Japanese, that's for sure. But yeah, and so she was sentenced to life in this woman's prison, of course, but she is obviously running the prison, so it's all good. So they said that there are 3 total unknowns, and the head, the director of the prison, even refers to her as Master. I will continue to look into this and stuff. And said, there's been no notable movement on the part of the stars that we have located, however. The first star, which we get silhouette of, the first star, the celestial star, remains stationary. So they know where the first star is. They know her name, they know where she is, but she's made no movements. Probably because she's the first star and doesn't have to. I'm still going to argue that the first star is probably the strongest in physical and actual one-on-one combat. She's probably the most dangerous. Whether this 8th star is sort of the anomaly right now, I would argue, and she's the one who's going to be the most dangerous via tactics, if you will, right? But they know where the first star is, but she's not causing any shit, so it's like, okay. But they know where the 9th star is, you know, Ri. And, of course, in her failed attempt at Hina, so they know where Hina is, of course, like that. So they know where Hina and Ri are, you know, in the underground fighting, and it's, you know, she just keeps going on and saying, you know, I'm, like, miles ahead of everybody. It's like none of them are even trying. Like, the game's no fun unless I have competition. So she's still going for whatever the end result is, kill all the other star children and become queen of the world, or whatever the end goal of their master was, creating the Star Children, and brainwashing them, grooming them, whatever, into this death game of sorts, this master level death game. It is quite interesting that she's like, I'm just gonna be miles ahead of everyone, and that's no fun for her. Like, she's almost bored by this. This is where they mention the fact that the Black Book or the roster for special criminals has been requested and stuff like that. So this is, of course, from Ichika and stuff. She's like, oh, really? Someone in Valkyria can access the special files. Okay, this is going to be fun. And she's got this demonic look on her. The art is really good. And, yeah, so she's like, all right. They've got the okay then. Yeah, they can use it. They can have our special roster of our more dangerous criminals that are here, and they can have their pick of the litter sort of idea. If they want to hire from our prison, let them. She's like, yes, master, and stuff. So obviously she is 100%. She's good with being in the cell, acting the part of being a prisoner for life in prison, but she controls everything that goes on. And she even states, I love prison because it's as safe can be. But she's going to be the one to screen the prisoners that are going to go to Valkyria. So she's going to have the manipulation. She's going to have the control of which characters from the prison get sent there, maybe on orders from her or the director. We have no idea. But it's still very, very freaky. So this was all a really well done scene. That's why I really wanted to go into the details of this, because we get a lot of lore here. We're learning more about the Star Children, more about how things are going, and we're having more characters involved in we're starting to not untangle, but just expand the spider web of this story. You know what I mean? And it does. It has many different tangents and stuff like that. So that's really cool as far as I'm concerned. Then we jump over to the underground arena and stuff, where the main, Ichika, Nozami, and Hana, all, of course, the members there, they all meet with Natsumi, and stuff like that, to talk about, like, what went down. I was paid to do this, I was paid to do that sort of idea, right? So, because, of course, now we're back to the more of the surface level plot of the Yakuza organizations sort of vying for, like, control of the woman's underground fighting and stuff like that. Hina's there with them too and stuff like that, and it's just like, okay, so I was, trying to take you down for the Love Psycho Girls. LPG is a woman-only underground fighting organization run by the Boyo group, and of course they're trying to take down Valkyria because you're stepping on their turf, you're stepping into their business and stuff like that, right? So they want to snatch them up legit with contracts. They're getting everybody with contracts, so you're not going to have a great roster. People are going to want to see them. They're going to have this big-ass venue, bigger. It sounds like it's going to be even bigger. Valkyria has a great venue now, good location and stuff, good staff, but they're building an even bigger, grander, boom, 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 right? Because for the other group, for the non-Boyo group, I forget what the group is called, the one that Hana is associated with, this is more of a pet project. This is more of a, let her do her own little thing. It's fine, right? So they've got heavy hitters locked up and all this stuff, and it's like, yeah, and all that Yakuza money, it's really like, this is getting a little more difficult. But this has been the surface level plot since basically the first 10 chapters, so we know this, right? Now this is where Hina says, like, well, I'll go scout them out for Valkyria, so because I don't have an exclusive contract with anybody, so it's just me being a freelancer to walk in and stuff like that. And they're all immediately like, absolutely not. Sending you in there is just a terrible, with no supervision. Are you nuts? And it's like, here's the comedy aspect. Even though they're terrified of her, it's like, oh my god, she's just, it's so, yeah, I do like that aspect, the comedic aspects, even though it's very dangerous and stuff like that, is still there. The Cena sisters are actually off doing some training and doing some knuckle brawling of their own. So even though they've got, I would argue, a little bit of loyalty towards Valkyria right now, they're just doing their own contract killing, as it were, and stuff like that. So they're not available to go with Hina and stuff like that. So they decide to bring in Yukihira Sera, the crazy one, and Lee, the Chinese fighter, right? Yuzua, and yeah, so they all decide to go together to scout out the enemy once again, but neither one of them will have the capability. Like, my whole thing was they need someone. The big reason to not put Hina into that position is A, not to lose her to another organization, which I doubt she would go, and they sort of know that, but B, I think the reason that they are doing this is because they're scared that she's going to see someone, ooh, I want to fight, and then she's going to jump in the ring like, will you fight me, miss? You know, big gorilla woman, you know, or something like that. Like, they're worried that she's going to start shit, whether on the side or like, hey, I want to fight, you know what I mean? Can anybody fight? Bonesaw! And it's like, you know, Spider-Man doesn't show up that time. You know what I mean? Like, so, anyways, yeah, I do think that's... that was more so the reason for the comedic aspect, is that they're worried that Hina's going to get, like, nothing's going to go smoothly with her involved. So they send these two, and I'm like, these two are not able to take her down or stop her. So I'm just like, but Nozomi obviously can't go because Hina might listen to Nozomi at best, but not going to listen to anybody else and stuff like that. So it's like, you guys are not inconspicuous at all, and that's the end of the chapter. So was it a really good chapter? It was. I really like the prison aspect more so than this. This is just continuing our surface plot of, you know, mafia group versus mafia group, underground cage fighting versus underground cage fighting groups. Just, you know, it's a territorial dispute. It's about the money. It's about the moolah and the territory and the respect, right? So that's been the surface level plot the whole time. But this is, we got really the deeper, you know, seated lore, the stuff going on in behind the scenes, the background, the Star Children, what's going on. We met another one, all that fun jazz, right? And we connected to the whole prison roster. Then, and we learned a little bit more about the stars and stuff like that. Then we jumped back. So I would say the prison stuff was the really intricate, really very interesting lore stuff that we learned this chapter. But yeah, continuing on with our main cast, with our main plot, with our 4 main characters and stuff, that just makes sense. So I'm glad the whole chapter wasn't spent on the prison, but it was probably the more interesting part of the chapter, I would argue. So anyways, so that's it for me, ladies and gentlemen. That was Strike It Rich, chapter 49. Sorry it was about a week late, but this is the catch-up month of April, so we're focusing more so on getting all our series cut up to date. And if we're just a few days to a week behind on everything, I'd rather do that than be a month behind on one series and caught up on another, right? It's all about the balance. So, but yeah, with this, we're caught up to Star once again. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Hope you guys are having a very happy Easter, however you're going to celebrate it. I'm going to go eat the backside of a ham right now. So, yeah, hope you guys are enjoying the same, whether it's with family, friends, food, drink, however you guys are doing it. Maybe going to a parade. Do they have the Easter parades? I don't know. Anyways, but yeah, hope you guys are enjoyed, you know, your holiday, however you're choosing to celebrate it, whether you're just enjoying having a day off for a lot of us, you know, sort of idea. Like, I have a 4-day weekend as a result, right? Good Friday and Easter Monday, so isn't that nice? But anyways, yep, that's it from me. Hope you guys enjoyed. Like, comment, subscribe, and we'll be back here for Chapter 50 of Strike It Rich. Looking forward to it. Hope you guys are too. Have a good one, everyone. See ya.